Hey guys, and welcome to Psych 101 General Psychology. My name is Dr. Barker, but you can call me Dr. P, and I'm going to be your instructor for the term. So I wanted to just create a brief welcome slash introduction slash tour of the course, not only to welcome you to the course, but also to provide you with some basic information that you'll need to get started. So here we are at the home page of our course, and you'll notice several forums. The first is just for basic news and announcements. So be sure to check back frequently in that area, because if there are any updates to the course, I will post them there. I've also created an Ask Dr. P section, and that section is designed for questions to which the entire class might benefit. So for example, let's say that you have a question about your paper and it relates to APA style, and you're not sure if you should include an abstract. And you're thinking that perhaps the rest of the class might have a similar question. If you post it there, I'll respond, and that way everyone can benefit from my answer to that question. The last forum is just what I'm calling the Psychology Student Cafe. So that area is just an informal discussion forum where you guys can hang out, get to know each other. If there topics in the media that you think relate to this class, if you'd like to make arrangements to get together and study, that area is a great place to do that. So I want to go ahead and head into these content links, and you'll notice that we can open all or close all with a single click at the top of the page, which is nice. But generally speaking, the content is organized by chapter and by week. Generally, we'll cover about a chapter per week. There are, however, a couple of instances where we'll need to double up a little bit, but don't panic. I'm not saying that we'll cover twice as much material, because we certainly can't cover every single topic in the book, but we will again sometimes have to double up a little bit just in terms of getting through all the content that we need to for the course. So the first area I want to show you is just basic information. So you'll notice that we've got our course objectives, and then we've got a syllabus. So let's click on that. And you'll notice some basic information as far as who I am and where my office is and how you can contact me. So I am a full-time faculty member, so I have an office on campus. Feel free to stop by anytime. Sometimes, I'm in and out of meetings, but, if you're on campus, poke your head in and say, hello, Dr. P. Hey, Dr. P. How are you doing? There's always candy in my office, so you can certainly stop by and get some candy. I'm also the program chair for general studies, so you'll probably be hearing more from me, particularly for those of you for whom I'm your academic advisor. So in terms of the course, basically it's a general introduction or basic introduction to psychology. So we'll cover a variety of topics, many basic concepts related to psychology. So a whole lot of breadth, maybe not tons of depth, but we will get a basic introduction. If there are topics that you're interested in related to psychology and you're curious as to whether or not we're going to cover them, feel free to ask. I'm certainly happy to answer any questions you may have. So we don't have any prerequisite or co-requisite issues. So next is just your textbook. So yes, you need a book. That book must include an access code, because we're going to use that for some homework / quiz related assignments. So you'll notice when you go to the bookstore, there are two options for this course. There's a straight electronic access code, which includes an ebook. And then there's also an access code which includes a hard copy loose leaf text, and you can choose either one. Totally depends on your preference. I'm kind of old school, so I like a hard copy text, but I realize that many people do not, and typically speaking, the e-text is much less expensive than the hard copy version, so you can certainly choose whichever you prefer. If you'd prefer to purchase your textbook outside of the bookstore, you can certainly do that. I've provided the ISBNs, both the 10-digit and 13-digit options there for you. So here is just a little bit of information about McGraw-Hill Connect in general, and I provided you with a link directly into our McGraw-Hill website, so you could certainly click on that, and it should take you into the area where you can go ahead and register. So as soon as you have your book, if you would, go ahead and register and set up your access to Connect. I'll also point out some additional resources related to Connect once we go back to the home page of the course. There's also some information here for tech support. So there's a website as well as an 800 number should you have technical difficulties. So the learning environment, this is obviously an online course. And because it's an online course, there are going to be some basic technology requirements. Obviously, you need a computer with reliable internet access. Because we have to take our tests online, you're also going to need a webcam, because the webcam is going to allow your exams to be proctored to help ensure the integrity of our course and our course delivery. So we'll talk about that in a moment. This next section is just about my general philosophy as it relates to teaching psychology. So I will let you read that at your leisure. Just want to hit the highlights with you so this recording isn't too long. And learning outcomes. Okay, so this one is probably one you're curious about. Evaluation methods. In other words, how you're going to be graded. So basically, you're going to have 4 tests. The chapters covered on each test are listed. Collectively, your tests will be 40% of the overall grade, each one representing 10% of the overall grade. Those Connect assignments are 30%. Discussion questions, you'll have one of those per week, with the exception of a couple of 1 or 2 weeks, I think. And then your paper is 10%. So your paper is going to be a behavior modification assignment, and I'll point out some information about that here shortly. In terms of exam grading, generally speaking, your exams will be in a multiple choice format. If you have questions about your exam or the score you receive, for example, you'd like some additional explanation as to why A was the correct answer as opposed to C, definitely feel free to reach out to me. Sometimes, depending on what it is, it's easier to either have a conversation in person or via phone rather than send an email to explain course content. It really just kind of depends. So if you send me an email and I email you back and I say, would you mind me giving you a call or something like that, it's basically because sometimes, depending on the nature of the question, it just makes more sense to have a conversation rather than email back and forth. As far as makeups and late work, generally speaking, I don't accept late work unless there's something extenuating going on. Obviously, illness. Sometimes there are work scheduling difficulties, but generally speaking, if you let me know something that's going on in advance, so for example, if you know that you're traveling out of the country and you need to take an exam early, if you just let me know in advance, I'll do my best to work with you. Basically, the idea is that we don't want a lack of planning to represent an extenuating circumstance, because we have a calendar, so that should allow you to kind of know what's going on each week. As far as attendance in an online course, obviously I'm not going to be able to see you every day. So the way we track your attendance is just based on participation of weekly graded assignments, which is why every week you have a discussion. Every week there are Connect assignments that have to be completed. So by completing those things, that lets me know that you're actively participating in the course and you're essentially marked present. Once you get to the point where you have failed to complete any graded assignments within 2 consecutive weeks, then at that point you may lose access to the course, which could ultimately result in a failure, and we don't want that to happen. Particularly during the first week, it's really important that you go ahead and log in, because during the first week is when we're verifying that you are indeed planning to participate. And so if you have not academically engaged within the first week of course, then you can be withdrawn. So lastly, it's just a quick course calendar, and you'll notice again a discussion question, Connect assignment every week, exams peppered in every few chapters, and this will also kind of give you an idea of what we'll be covering each week. So that is a quick version of the syllabus. I'm going to go back to the course. So here we are back in that course information and getting started section. This is the additional information on McGraw-Hill Connect that I was talking about. So there's a link to a video which literally shows you click by click how to register and set up that Connect account. So go ahead and take care of that. And then there's a link directly into our McGraw-Hill Connect course. So if we click that, make sure that your pop-up blocker is disabled. You'll notice that for each chapter there's some assignments there for you. So those are going to be your quizzes per se. And basically they're typically some type of tutorial or video. You watch it and then you answer a couple of questions. So it's just a great way to kind of unpack some of the basic content areas of the course and also keep you academically engaged. Okay. So lastly in this section is just your project information. So we've got the behavior modification assignment, and I know that it's early and we're just starting the course, but now would be a great time to at least start thinking about what you might want to focus on. So literally you're just going to choose a behavior and then apply content from our course related to either classical conditioning or operant conditioning, or sometimes both if you want to get really creative, to modifying that behavior. So I will post additional information on that later. I don't want my introduction to be too long. I'm going to lose you guys, right? There's also a draft peer review checklist. So one of the discussion questions will actually be a draft peer review where you post a draft of your behavior modification paper and then you get feedback from your peers, which is really nice. I provided you with a paper template just to make sure that your paper is in APA style. And then this is just where you would actually submit the assignment. So I'm going to close this back up, and then what you'll notice for the remainder of the course is, so this is chapter 1, for example, learning objectives, a link to McGraw-Hill Connect so you can complete those assignments, printable notes, a little recording from me, and then a link to a discussion question. So what I plan to do is each week provide you at least with some brief recording from me so that I can kind of check in with you guys and see what's going on. But of course, if you have questions, feel free to ask. So that is a brief introduction to the course. So I will see you guys on the discussion board, and I'm looking forward to a fantastic term.